just putting up a classified ad I don't think is enough anymore. You know, you've got to build your brand. We've drafted a report, or we've put together a report. It's taken us weeks to do. We've put together a report that outlines the results from the data that AutoTrader sits on. So we sit on 11 million records, people interacting with cars all the time, what they're clicking on, what is popular, what's not popular. And so we've put together this report. It's about 30 pages long. And what we've done is we said to ourselves, like, how does the dealer market run their businesses, and how do OEMs run their businesses based off new car sales data? That's the only thing that's in the market. And then you've got this price index that gets published, and then sometimes the banks put out PR that says, you know, this is the number of finance transactions we've got, and whatever the case may be. But for me, it doesn't give any insight. None of the new car stuff give any insight into strategically being able to manage your business, or, you know, what's good to buy, what's not good to buy, what, you know, what's happening with consumer attention. And our focus now is massively moved towards understanding what we term consumer attention, where we want to know where the consumer's attention is. What is it on? What are they looking at? 3 cars that were competitors to the Porsche Macan. So these are our competitors to the Porsche Macan. We want to know how those cars are performing. And my first question was, why are those your competitors? Why is the Mercedes-Benz GLE a competitor to the Macan? And the answer turns out to be because of the configuration of the car and the price. But that's not the way to look at a competitor. I'm going to show you that's changing. So that kind of, and I'd love to hear your ideas on why you think it's right or wrong, because I don't think there's any right or wrong, and I'm trying to kind of get to what are the right things for dealers to be thinking about when they run their businesses. Segment-based, basing your business on a segment price range, I think those are good and they're necessary. But the thing that I think a large part of the dealer market is missing is where the consumer's attention is. And the GLE isn't your competitor. It is from a segment point of view, but it shouldn't be your primary focus. Why? Because the Land Rover, Land Cruiser, is your competitor. Same price range, but guess what? Consumers are looking at that car more. The Mercedes-Benz GLE isn't even in the top 10 most searched for cars. So because it's not in the top 10 most searched for cars, I'm not saying it's not a competitor, but it shouldn't be the primary focus. It shouldn't be, we're going to market to the GLE driver. We need to market to the Land Rover Land Cruiser driver. And I'm just using the Land Cruiser as an example. You know, the X5 is up there. And the X5 is over $1 million. You can't convert a Land Cruiser driver into a Macan. You're going to have the diehards, but there's got to be a segment of those consumers that will consider buying the Macan if it's in the same category. There has to be. The basis of what that competitor is important. So what I'm arguing is that the basis of the competitor for the Haval H9 is not necessarily category specific. Money is the first choice, but then there's other stuff. That's the other stuff that I think the market should think about. And that other stuff is, what is the consumer actually putting their attention on? So let's say the Hyundai. Now Hyundai doesn't even feature on the top 10 most searched for cars. I would expect it to have. What I'm saying is understanding what consumers are searching for and playing in that hierarchy of consideration is where the marketing opportunity lies. So if, for instance, the Haval, if the Fortuner has got the most eyeballs on it, but you don't see the Fortuner as big as a competitor as, let's say, the Hyundai Santa Fe, I would rather go after where the consumer's attention is than go after category-specific competitors. I suppose that's the very simple nuance that I'm seeing in the data, is that a lot of dealers think cars are competitors to the cars they're stocking, but they're not necessarily. They're on the list, but they're not as popular as some other cars are. And then the other principle is contextual advertising. And I'm not only talking about AutoTrader site here, I'm talking about general kind of marketing. I've said now for a long time, I've started to say in the last couple of months, dealers need to change the way they see themselves. Instead of seeing yourself as a dealer that needs to market cars, see yourself as a marketing company that sells cars. And there's a subtle nuanced shift in the mindset of a dealer if you start to think about your business in that way. Is think of yourself as a marketing company that sells cars rather than the other way around. Is that mind shift will change a dealer's perspective of what marketing is. And it's not just a line item anymore. It becomes a driver of your business's success. So I think from a dealership perspective, the dealers that are going to win in the medium to long term in South Africa over time are going to be the dealers who build a brand. I think. For me, manufacturer brand equals car brand. So Haval is a manufacturer brand, okay? But Haval Edenvale is a dealership brand. So it's important to brand yourself, even if, in my mind, even if you are a franchise dealer, to brand the nuance that makes you different to the actual car brand itself. There are three truths there in my mind, okay? First, we have to accept, in my mind, in this country, and in most other first world countries, that used car and independent dealers dwarf new car and franchise dealers. So there are 2 to 3 times more independent dealers than there are franchise dealers in the main. So at the top level. So that's one truth. The other truth is the margins on used car are significantly higher than it is on new. Exactly what you just said. And then the third truth then means that the most important thing is your individual brand and not the car's brand. That when people search, the geographics are important, and we find that. You can see that on average, there are about 3 to 4 searches per person. So they go through the search boxes 3 to 4 times during their stay on the site. And most of the time that search starts broad, like you say, and then it narrows in. So then what becomes the most important thing is how you market your brand in that area that you have your dealership at. And social media is an important part of doing it. No, there is no dealer in the country who's getting social media right. If there is, I haven't seen it. Most dealers are posting delivery photos. The engagement with your consumer is important. But dealers are posting delivery photos, which is a good thing to do. They're posting sexy pictures of cars, which is also a good thing to do. But there's no dealer in the country, and there's one way to solve a social media problem in your area as your dealership, and that is solve consumer problems in the context of the consumer. No one's doing that. And what I mean by solve consumer problems is put out material that helps the consumer, that is unselfish. Get out of sales mode and educate, help the consumer. No one's doing it. So, and I'd love to see a dealer actually do it properly and, go onto pick a platform, Facebook. Facebook's probably the best place to do this stuff. Go onto Facebook and show a consumer, you know, the inside of the boot of a Haval. Like, look at how much stuff I can put in here. Now that might be close to trying to get a sale, but it's helping the consumer, and I don't think any dealer's doing that properly. I think dealers should start doing exactly the same thing. Is that non-formal, kind of talking to the camera? So I'm not suggesting for a second that you divert money or any of that stuff to alternate places. It's just being creative and using your current resource. South African dealers aren't doing it. So I think that the guys that actually start to think about the stuff we're talking about are going to be the winners in the long run. You're going to double, triple, quadruple your dealership scale if you just get ahead of that curve and think creatively, do the simple things, get sales reps to talk about the car. And don't wait for AutoTrader to introduce a product that encourages video. And I suppose that's what I'm trying to do in the market. Is I'm trying to, we've got limitations, and those limitations are we're eating the elephant one bite at a time, and so video will come, but there's other stuff we have to do first. So for me, encouraging dealers is you can do this stuff without big resource. You can do it, you can use your current resource. But what's your intention when you put that video up? But the more dealers do it, the more I start to get excited, because now we're not just being sheep. We're not just following what everyone else is doing, and we're actually starting to lead as opposed to follow. And just putting up a classified ad I don't think is enough anymore. You've got to build your brand.